greetings from New Zealand. About 6 or 7 years ago, a number of my colleagues and I felt that God had been speaking to us about not just doing ministry with children, but with the whole family. We felt we needed to be re-establishing the home as the primary place of spiritual nurture. As we journeyed with this and did a lot of reading, we were influenced by quite a few American authors, but we particularly liked Mark Holman's Faith at Home principles. A number of our children's pastors began to journey with these concepts, but we realised that if we wanted to see change for the long term, we needed to have someone speak into the lives of our senior pastors. So 3 years ago, in conjunction with our Baptist National leader, we invited Mark to New Zealand to speak at our Baptist National Conference, which is aimed primarily at senior pastors. While Mark was here in New Zealand, he toured with the Willow Creek Association and gave seminars and workshops in a number of churches across a variety of denominations. Mark's message was very well received, and the ripples of his time here continued to today. Last week at our national conference, I caught up with 5 pastors to ask them how they've been journeying over the past 3 years with Faith at Home.
Well, at church, I guess we started off with reading Mark Holman's books and getting it amongst the leaders there and starting to sort of change people's perspective on where children's ministry, family ministry starts and comes from. So that was probably the first thing. We then had our church, children's and family pastor just making a difference in different things, speaking at church and various different things, just starting to change the culture. At this stage it started with the children. We're slowly trying to make an impact as we come up through into the youth ministry. It's impacting the parents, the young parents significantly. It's starting, I think, as far as the grandparents and impacting them on how they take the whole faith at home as a grandparent and having an impact there. The materials, just easy materials to use and pass on to parents and teachers and stuff like that. So various different aspects. We're on a journey, certainly not there, one step at a time.
At my church we have a clear vision about partnering with parents, and how do we help to resource and inspire and equip our parents to live out their faith in the home in front of their children. And Mark Holman's resources have been fantastic at giving us practical tools that we can help make that vision a reality for the parents in our church. His books and his practical ideas, take at home events, have really changed the way that we do ministry with parents, and has made a huge impact on the families in our church.
We have been using Mark's Take It Home resources in our church now for around 3 years, and I really want to endorse them as fantastic resources that we've used. A couple of the stories: we've had a dad who was a fairly young Christian who came to our Take It Home Money event with his 2 young sons, and he just went home bubbling about how much he'd learnt about the biblical perspective of money. He hadn't learnt it before through any other teaching, and here he was learning it with his sons. Then we had a family who came to the service, Take It Home service event, which Mark wrote in his Take It Home book, and then they shared about how they'd gone down the beach picking up rubbish, and a random stranger came and said, "Why are you doing this?" And the kids very happily shared that they were doing it because they were Christians and they wanted to serve their community. But my best story is about a mum of some young children that I'd been picking up and taking along to kids' church, and she'd never come to the church. And when it came to the Take It Home Sunday, I realised they would be the only children who had no parent with them. So I rang her and said, either I don't pick your kids up this week or you come with them. And I heard her in the background saying, "Kids, do you want mum to come to church with you on Sunday?" And they all went, "Yes, yes." So she came to church for the very first time to attend a Take It Home event on my Bible. And that Sunday we bought a Bible for her to give to her daughter, and then she recalled getting her first Bible and how exciting it had been for her. And that was the beginning of a journey where she began coming regularly to church, and then ended up doing the Alpha program for new Christians. So I see Take It Home not as a fabulous resource only for Christian parents, but one that can be used to bridge unchurched families into the church by them coming and participating with their children. So I most wholeheartedly endorse the things that Mark has written and given to us as churches. And in our New Zealand context, they work really, really well.
I heard Mark when he came to take a seminar, and I was profoundly moved by the possibilities that we have to impact our children in a far greater way in their discipleship. And so as a church we've embraced that, and we've found it so helpful. It's been a journey. We learn by our trying and seeing what works for us. But I think most parents love to see their kids grow up to follow Jesus, but they don't know what to do. And we can tell them to work, but this gives us some opportunity to give them some handles, to give them some resources, to give them some pathway where they can actually achieve that goal. And so we've found parents just love to do this. They take it up and they make it work for them. This is not a program, it's a kind of attitude, it's a way of life that's being taught. I mentor other pastors, and there's something I recommend to them as well, that they try to just take this on board. I think the senior pastor really needs to embrace this as part of this program. So we've seen a change, and I recommend it to everyone.
Well, when Mark Holman came over to us, it was really cool to hear him talking about faith at home being the most significant thing, and I think was a reflection that for too long things had been focused on the church. And so for us as a leadership team, as we read Mark's book, as we interacted with Mark, it was the challenge for us as a staff that this had to be something that came out of our own story and our own journey. And so we sort of, I guess, did this whole thing in reflection and stuff for us, and asking the question, what does faith at home look like? And for us, we're really community based in what we're doing, and so one of the things that we're trying to encourage people to be 24/7 followers of Jesus, living out their faith and what that means, and we can't do that in an hour and a half on a Sunday morning. It requires people to be focused at home, and so for us as a church, that's meant a reorientation of how we resource people, and it's been the catalyst for us to rethink in terms of what we're doing, and we're in the process of employing new staff, and that's a part of that process for us. And how do we equip people for mission? How do we equip them to be followers of Jesus that are 24/7 in terms of their faith? And so Mark's really good, he's really inspirational, brought us back to the challenge of what is core in terms of our belief, and we've really appreciated his challenge and his reflection on that, and it's been inspiring.
That was just a snapshot of the influence and impact that both Mark and his books have had on churches here in New Zealand. As a denomination, we're grateful to God for the journey that he's had us on and for the way he's used Mark in that process. We know we're in the beginning stages of that journey. We've got a long way to go and much to learn, and we know God's got plenty of challenges ahead of us. But as Mordecai said to Queen Esther many years ago, I do personally feel that both Mark and his message are for such a time as this.